Alright. Hey guys, did Andrew Wakefield just call out the mainstream media for being fake news? He did! It was the best! Oh my god! So there's a video that came out. I don't know if this is a video that came out a while ago and they re-uploaded it, or if it's a video that is recent. So he's at a screening, and of course the mainstream news woman comes out with the same old spiel, like just the disgraced doctor who had his license revoked, irresponsible, herd immunity, like all the like fake news points, right? So she goes up to him, and she asked him the same spiel, and then he's like, "Can you quote me on this?" She's like, "Sure, absolutely." He's like, "I don't talk to fake news." I was like, yes, yes, amazing, amazing. That was even better than when Trump said it. It was great. Yeah, like journalists, these journalists that call themselves journalists, they should call themselves mockingbirds, because they really just repeat what they hear. They don't do any research. You know, I don't even think any of them have actually read his study, which is easily available online. Even though it has the words retracted on it, you can still read the study, right? They didn't do study into, they didn't do an investigation into Brian Deere and showing his links with the pharmaceutical industry and how they had a vested interest in getting people not to question vaccines. They didn't research the fact that there were 12 other doctors that wrote this paper, that had their names on this paper, that were also top people in their field. They didn't do research into Andrew Wakefield being one of the top doctors in gastrointestinology. They didn't do research on his colleague John Walker Smith, who actually got his license back, because him and Andrew Wakefield are the two out of all the doctors that wrote their name on the paper, they got their license revoked. And they got their license revoked because they wanted to actually put in the paper that they thought vaccines may have been the cause of, but they weren't sure. They didn't even say like it was definitive. They said that more study needed to be done. So and if you listen to actually Andrew Wakefield and John Walker Smith's side of the story, they say that actually they were warned against doing this because they were afraid of the backlash that they would receive from the pharmaceutical industry. But Andrew Wakefield, being the real doctor, not the fake doctor, but the real doctor who has integrity, who's not going to be bought off, actually said, well, no, this is, if we omit any of this information, that's not real science, that's not real medicine, like this needs to be put into question. We need to question this. So, he advocated, I think, for, he wasn't even for vaccines, he advocated for single vaccines, because he maybe thought at the time that, that maybe it was too much in one dose, and that's, but anyway, they don't even research into that. They don't have the brains to put together that he was actually used as an example, because he was so well-renowned and well respected and well loved, that he was actually made an example of. Now they call it being Wakefielded, right? There's a guy named Ignaz Semmelweis who the same thing happened to him during his time. He was a Hungarian doctor, and how dare he suggest that people wash their hands before they do surgery. If people were dying of infections, this guy decided, he figured out that, oh, people aren't washing their hands, and these arrogant, I call them like fake science minion nerds, were like, oh no, that, that's ridiculous, but lo and behold. So another good news in the report, that it says that 1 in 10 parents believe now that vaccines can cause autism, which is great, right? I think last time I checked, autism was 1 in 16. And for those of you who don't know, autism is a spectrum. So you have people that are high functioning, that are like, the super, that are like, the ones that usually like, well, I have autism and nothing is wrong with me, and I don't see why autism is so bad. And, they can do super math and all that stuff, but they can't, they can't relate to people. They have gastrointestinal issues. They have high suicide rates. So even though everything kind of looks okay on the outside, they still have issues too, and a lot of parents struggle with them too. A lot of them can't, I know there are exceptions, okay, but a lot of them can't, live by themselves even as adults, okay? I look at Sesame Street, and, they have this new Muppet. I think it was a year or so ago that she came out. She's been around for a while, and she's a cute little Muppet, but she she's an autistic Muppet. And I'm just like reading the comments. I remember when this first came out, and there were parents that are saying like, oh, I'm so happy that they made this Muppet. It's going to teach people about autism. How wonderful. And I was like, no, it's not. Right? Because they're not going to show the Muppet having breakdowns or biting people or rubbing feces on their face or like banging her head until, you know, she cracks her skull open, or peeing on herself, or not like, you know, flapping around and not making, you know, like, it's ridiculous. They're just trying to normalize this because they don't want to take responsibility for what they've done. And as you know, as people are starting to find out, if you don't know, that the media and the pharmaceutical industry are closely entangled. And a lot of times it's because the pharmaceutical industry funds a lot of these media companies, or you have just the pharmaceutical lobby, which is just as big as the oil lobby, or even more, that are putting their energy and time and money into either buying off people in Congress, you know, intimidating people. If you guys don't know about the Vioxx controversy, where they knew that Vioxx was actually causing heart attacks. There were emails that were found that were basically told to go after doctors, whether it was go after their careers or physically kill them, who were actually speaking out on the dangers of the Vioxx pills for heart attacks. So, I mean, if you know that and you don't think the same thing can be done about vaccines, you're incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid. Just like these science nerds. Oh, wait, these science nerds? Oh, hello, I'm a science nerd. I think that vaccines save lives. And if you don't vaccinate your kid, you're putting all of us in danger. Ha 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 ha. Like those like YouTube jerks that are on YouTube that are targeting your kids, your teenagers who are watching this stuff, who are basically being brainwashed. And I'm sure these science nerds actually believe what they're pushing, because, you know, they're too good and they're too arrogant to actually do real research. They just think that, you know, because they see Bill Nye repeat it, who's bought off by corporations, or they read it in Scientific American, who's bought off by corporations. I've seen, I was in Sprouts the other day and I saw Scientific American with their yearly or their annual issue, you know, debunking vaccines. Oh, that was debunked. But, you know, it's actually really sad for me, because I like National Geographic, I love science, I love these science magazines, but they've been bought off. I know from my personal experience that these people are lying, okay? And it's funny because people are complaining about, oh, fake news, like the alternative media being fake news. But one thing they need to realize is that the alternative media has become so big because people have found out the mainstream media are lying. Are liars. So if the mainstream media were in integrity and they actually put the needs of the people and the interests of the people first, then people wouldn't be going to alternative media. So alternative media is a response to the fake news media that has been created, okay? Just get that straight, all right? So, and also, you have these like science nerds. I'm calling them fake science minion nerds, right? Who are on the internet spreading propaganda, which, you know, they want to accuse us of doing, right? But they're the ones that are actually spreading propaganda, you know, making guilt tripping and bullying people into vaccinating their kids, you know, lying by omission. And I think a lot of these people, they just think that, you know, they have this really undying, wavering faith in science. It's become a religion to them, that they think that science can do no wrong, right? Science, right, can do no wrong. You know, so what happens when they put these videos out and then a parent says, oh, well, I'm relieved vaccines don't cause autism. This science nerd on YouTube told me. So they go and get their child vaccinated, and their child either dies, has autoimmune complications, or becomes a zombie, an autistic, and they're rubbing feces, giving themselves feces facials, you know, beating their head. Now they're on the low end of the spectrum, beating their head up against the wall, you know, till they crack their head open. They don't show that, right? They manipulate us by showing us iron lungs and pictures of people with polio, which is another video. I can probably put some links down in the description that gets more into why that's a twisted narrative about that. But you know, they put, you know, they accuse us, I mean, or that's what they do. They use anecdotal evidence to bully us into into vaccinating, yet when parents are online, you know, having before and after footage and videos of their child before and after vaccines, trying to warn people, which is what any decent parent would do, so it doesn't happen to another parent, you know, and they're getting, you know, they get bullied, they get accused of doing it. It's so hypocritical. It's such a double, you know, it's a double standard. So I don't really understand, you know, well, I guess I do understand, but I just don't really condone this fake science minion nerds. They're going to kill us all. They think they're right. They think they're on the right side of history. They think they're doing the right thing. They want to make fun of alternative media outlets for speaking against this and trying to warn people and making fun of them. And they have their little snarky remote, you know, jokes, and they want to, you know, talk about science without actually doing any real science themselves. These guys are murderers, okay? I'm a fake news nerd. I'm a fake science nerd. I know science. Like, they're the murderers. They're leading people to slaughter. And Andrew Wakefield is a real scientist. And what you got wrong, what you got it twisted, was actually, he's the one that was doing his job, right? And now he's becoming vindicated because people are actually having to experience it themselves, or they see other people experiencing it. And another thing they don't tell you too is when somebody is I'm just gonna say vaccine injured, okay? Because it comes not just in autism, is this the tip of the iceberg? There's so many autoimmune diseases and disorders that are connected with vaccine injury. So I'm just gonna say, when you're vaccine injured, I would say autism is really, especially low end of the spectrum, is just the most devastating, I think, because people don't have any hopes or dreams for ever having family or having a grandchildren, you know? The people that actually are able to cure their kid and get them back to 100% is damn near like winning the lottery. It causes a huge financial strain. The guilt is unbelievable. I've heard parents, more than one, tell me that they've made suicide pacts because they feel like they feel guilty about, you know, turning their kid into what they are. Or, you know, there was even a case where a lady actually did kill her kid. She killed her kid. She stabbed him to death because she felt guilty about what she did. The financial strain is horrible. The divorce rate is through the roof. The siblings are neglected because all the attention and money and energy has to go to the child that's sick. It's not only devastating just the child itself that's affected, but it's devastating whole families, whole generations of people, okay? So Andrew Wakefield is a real hero, the real savior, and we're going to be interviewing him in 2 weeks. So I'm really excited to announce that. And yeah, but I just saw that and the fake news thing, and I got angry on one level and I got happy on another level because I mean, there's still people that are promoting this fake science, okay? But on the other hand, a lot of people aren't buying into it anymore. And this is the thing that the establishment is getting very, very concerned about. So anyway, all right, I just wanted to get that off my chest, y'all. Love y'all. Peace and love. Bye-bye. Mwah.